mai anō and welcome back to Playmakers. Kiwi UFC lightweight fighter Brad Riddell is 3-0 in the UFC so far, and that will be challenged this weekend when he faces American Gregor Gillespie at UFC Fight Night. And here to tell us all about it is the man himself, Brad Riddell. Kia ora, Brad.
Kia ora, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you so much for your time.
Anytime.
So obviously it's fight week in your part of the world right now. So what's the feel so far?
It feels pretty good. I'm pretty excited. This is a really big challenge. Gregor's a very good fighter, and he's ranked 15th. So this is my gateway. This is my way in.
Yeah,
to the elite guys in the world. So I can't wait. Yeah.
That's also. What's the feel over there at the moment? When I was talking to Carlos a couple of weeks ago, he said that it felt like Auckland weather over there at the moment. What's it like over there?
Yeah, it's cold. It's not like, it doesn't get quite as cold as Auckland, but it's pretty fresh. It's cold in the morning, cold at night. Sunny during the day, but the sun just tricks you. It's still pretty cold.
Now, as I mentioned in the intro, of course, you're undefeated in the UFC so far. How would you kind of summarise your journey through the promotion so far?
I would summarise it as a pretty hard one. I've had to take on some pretty high-level, difficult opponents that are very experienced. But, I've got the upper hand and I've beaten them, and they've fed me another one. So, I'm just going to have to do the same thing again. I have a feeling that my journey is going to be like this all the way to the belt, but that's okay. I feel like this is one of the hardest divisions in the world. And, I'm the average size man, so there's a lot of people in my division. So when I conquer this, I can, proudly say that I am the best fighter in the world for this weight. So
looking at UFC 259, the boys that came back from that card are still obviously quarantining at the moment. So who, is over there helping you prepare for this big fight?
I've got Mike, Alex Volkanovski, my old wrestling coach Frank from Tiger, Joe Lopez, who's Volko's coach. So I've got a really good team with me. I've got like the dietitian as well. I've got a couple of guys from Volk's gym. I've got an awesome squad here. So I'm not feeling. I'm feeling the love. I'm not feeling left out or anything. The guys had to get home to their families, and this voucher situation makes it like a lot harder. Yeah. So I fully respect their decision.
It says a lot about city kickboxing in general too, doesn't it? We had, 3 city kickboxing fighters on recently. You're on this week, Shane on the week after. So, the coaches would be spread a little thin to ensure that you guys were all prepared. What do you think that says about city kickboxing?
I feel like we have a great team and a very broad team. Everybody's very, very close, and everyone's kept in the loop a lot. There's nobody stands above anybody. So we're lucky that we have the ability to be able to send any coach away with any fighter, and they know the game plan perfectly. So it's a very rare, lucky gift we have. Yeah.
And now let's look at Gregor Gillespie. You've spoken about he comes from a strong wrestling pedigree. I think you described him as being like wet paper in terms of being a fighter and his body being on his opponent's bodies. So is there anything else you can tell us, and perhaps what you fully expect, considering he will be standing up as well?
Yeah, I assume that he'll go back to his roots, which is his wrestling, as his last fight, which is his first loss was, predominantly standing up. He got kicked in the head and knocked out. So maybe that's a traumatizing factor still. Maybe it isn't. I'm sure it isn't, to be honest. The way he carries himself and his mindset and all his other fights, he's a gamer. He's very driven. But I assume he will go back to his bread and butter and try to take me down. That's what I would do. And but fortunately for me, I spent a lot of time working on my ground game and a lot of time working on my wrestling. I have some very, very good wrestling partners. So it's exciting to fight Gregor. A lot of people want it to.
And I mean, a few of the boys have described, training with you and wrestling as being an absolute nightmare. So hopefully that your skill won't be taken for granted in that area. But what can fans expect to see from you, Brad? You've taken your last 3 fights, through to the end. What can they expect to see this time?
It could happen again. It could be a knockout. I'm not too sure, but I expect to show like a full display of MMA. It's going to be a very rounded fight. Mainly from me, if Gregor has his way, he'll be wrestling predominantly. But for me, I'm going to be defending that. I'll do a little bit of wrestling, little bit of striking, and I get to test my wrestling against, one of the best guys out in the division at wrestling, like an All-American, which is exciting. A lot of people are scared of that, but I'm pretty excited to see where I sit in that skill department, and I'm going to find out on Saturday. It's cool.
And how excited, must you be? The stakes are a little bit higher this time. He's 15th ranked. This is a chance for you to make significant movement in the rankings yourself.
Yeah, like they call him the gatekeeper, to that top 15. But I had a vision that I was going to be in the top 15 at the start of this year, and that's going to happen. I have like a broader vision for the rest of the year, but this is the first milestone, and everything's panning out exactly how I visualized it. And I do this stuff in my house all the time. I always shadow box and pitch all these hard fights, and I got them. And I'm super excited to be labeled one of the top 15 fighters in the world. That's a pretty awesome achievement. Yeah,
most definitely. Considering in terms of your professional career in the UFC, it hasn't been too long yet. Yeah,
it's definitely this elevates you, right? Taking these hard fights against these opponents that people don't want to. It gets you up the top quickly and it gets you noticed. So that's what's happened, and I'm pretty grateful for this opportunity, and the strategy's paying off.
Yeah. And how does, congratulations on the arrival of Bubba. First of all, how is Marissa doing, your partner? And second of all, how much has this motivated you for the fight?
Marissa's doing really well. She loves motherhood, just like I love fatherhood, and we're very excited to have our daughter. She's awesome. And Marissa's taken it into her stride. And I'm really happy that I have a job that allows her to, raise my daughter full time and give her all the attention she needs, because a lot of people don't have that. So that's pretty cool. And it is motivating, like every time I look at her, I'm like, I live a very unique lifestyle that like I said, we can spend so much time with her. So that's the main motivating factor, is if I keep performing, and I will perform, I can continue living this way, and I can spend as much time with my family as I want to.
Yeah, and especially during this time of COVID too, where employment can be, such an issue for so many people.
Yeah.
Does it change your outlook on, your career and your life being a father? Like, people talk about it and think about it, but when it actually happens, does it change your outlook now?
It changes my outlook on certain things, like anything that's in regard to her upbringing, like school and all that sort of stuff. I pay a lot of attention to now that I didn't really pay attention to before I had her. I wasn't too fazed about the schooling system and all that sort of stuff, but things like that change. But my normal life, it's we still live the same.
Mm-hmm. Now, of course, after this fight, fingers crossed that it all works out for you, which I'm sure it will, you will be staying on. So give us a brief, on what your journey will look like when you'll be supporting your teammates as well.
Yeah, so I'm going to stay for Alex and Shane next week. I'm going to corner those guys and watch them get their hand raised. And then I've got a couple of weeks left here until I get home from America to do my quarantine. But so next week's going to be all like guidance from me for them, I guess, helping them out, and recovery, taking advantage of the PI and the system here and the facility. Mm-hmm. So it looks all good after the fight, and everything to the fight looks good as well.
Yeah, not putting your card on the back burner or anything, but UFC 260 is pretty stacked as well, and to have Alex facing Brian Ortega is a huge matchup. What are you hoping to contribute for Alex in his preparation once you're in a position to be able to do so?
Just the usual, just my words, and like most of my words come through Eugene and Lopez anyway, Joe Lopez. So I more like support, just to be there. I've been there for all his fights, so I'm sure it's nice for him to have his usual corner of familiar faces there. So just my body and my spirit.
Nice, and of course be flying that New Zealand flag as well, and we wish you absolutely all the very best for UFC Fight Night this weekend, Brad, and thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for the support. Really appreciate it.
Now, Brad is off to do some training before the big night ahead, but if you want to see Brad Riddell in action, don't miss it. Riddell v Gregor Gillespie this Sunday on ESPN UFC Fight Night. Don't miss it. Hei kona mai.